You're listening to the Business and Life Conversations podcast with Angela Henderson, episode 89. Hey there, you're listening to the Business and Life Conversations podcast. My name is Angela Henderson, and on this show, we talk about improving your business, life, or both by having amazing and rich conversations with brilliant guests who will inspire you and who will give you tips and tricks to help you grow both in life and in business. Well, hey there, and welcome back to another awesome episode of the Business and Life Conversations podcast. I am your host, Ange, from Angela Henderson Consulting, where I am a business consultant and coach who has helped hundreds of amazing women business owners get all the pieces in place to have consistent 5-figure months and then on to 6-figure years without burning out in the process. Now, once in a while, you connect with a completely random stranger on Instagram. And over time, you might get to know them just a little bit. You might mini stalk them, like their stuff, and basically next thing you know, you're BFFs. Who out there is shaking their heads with a hell yes? But in addition to finding out this person is just an amazing human being, you also find out that their knowledge on the future of social media, especially around messenger marketing, aka chatbots, is next level. And you know you have to have them on the podcast because businesses need to know about where social media is going. So today, the amazing Aoife is joining us to chat about so much goodness, such as, but not limited to, how does the future of social media impact on, that's right, you guys listening out there, what are the benefits of messenger marketing, aka chatbots, and what can businesses start doing now to prepare for the future of social media? And as always, we're going to be talking about so much more awesomeness. But before we hop straight into this amazing episode, I'd like to remind you that if you enjoy this episode, I would love for you to share your key takeaway, a fun fact, or anything that you would love to share about the podcast over on your Instagram stories, and then tagging me at Angela Henderson Consulting. As I say before on all my other podcasts, it absolutely makes my day when you guys do this. Also, this episode is sponsored by my 12-month group coaching program, Profit Pillars, which helps women in business create consistent 5,000 plus months and onto those lovely, juicy 5-figure months also. My 12-month group coaching program is for women business owners who are absolutely ready to take action to grow sustainable and profitable business. The program includes a complete Profit Pillar training systems guide with videos, PDFs, and more, monthly live coaching strategy sessions, monthly hot seat sessions, monthly mastermind classes with my guest experts, 24-hour access to our private Facebook community, world-class member support, and so many other amazing bonuses and secret surprises along the way. To learn more about my 12-month group coaching program, you can head to angelahenderson.com.au and simply click on I want help creating 5K months. Now, let's get ready for an amazing show with Aoife. Welcome to the show, Aoife.
Thank you for having me, Ange.
Gosh, no, listen, I'm not going to lie about it. I think you might not be, but I consider us kind of Instagram BFFs. We've kind of been this way for a while now. We DM each other. We comment on each other's stuff. And I just like that naturally we just support each other. But the one common thread about this is we've actually never met in person.
And how bloody amazing is that?
So amazing. That again, there's women supporting women who have never seen each other, but yet, we don't do it every day, or you might have something on your Instagram feed, or I'll have something on mine, or whatever. And we don't necessarily agree on everything too. Sometimes we have a little bit of healthy debate, but the thing is, and there's a mutual respect though, right? Is that we have this respect, but there's also, for me, is I knew I had to have you on the show because there's this warmth about you and this knowledge that just flows from you. And this is what my listeners, I feel, need to hear. And so I'm super thrilled to have you on the show today.
Oh, thank you. I'm tearing up here. The emotion that's happening.
Oh my goodness. You didn't tell me that I was going to need tissues today, Ange.
I know, and I'm not that emotional, but I think I'm just so proud. I'm really proud of the females, and certainly I think you touched on it there. It's the respect element. You don't necessarily have to agree on a position of any business or any human that it has in the world, but if someone's running their own business and they're putting themselves out there in the ring, doing it in the most respectful, honest way, regardless of what they're saying, I just command it every day, and I support those human consistently. So it's been a pleasure to have met you at the start of the year, and it's an absolute pleasure to have seen you today.
And then I know as we stalk each other on Instagram, that it was so funny that my copywriter that I've used for the last 6 months, 8 months, maybe somewhere around there, I saw you guys were having a Christmas party down in Sydney, and I was like, what are those two little rugrats up to? And I didn't even get an invite. I was like, what's going on here? And it's just it genuinely is such a small world. And that's what I say is embrace women in business, embrace just humans naturally, because the world is so small. Everyone is connected in some way and somehow.
Oh, 100%. And I think it's just, I think the new decade, we're coming into 2020, and it's certainly females' time to shine, and there's nothing holding us back. And I feel that even more so than now, we need to unite, support, and encourage all women and all girls and, all boys and all kids coming up through the world to be able to do what they want to do and not fear themselves from doing it. So.
And I'm also very excited to have Ali, who is the founder of Girls Who Code. I'm going to mess it up, and I think I just did. Girls Who Code down in Melbourne, and she runs this amazing opportunity for young girls, to be able to start coding, because she was one of the only females in her, school to be able to learn all this stuff. And so she's got this beautiful empowerment behind everything. And I can't wait. That will be a future episode that we'll be having Ali on. So yes, obviously I equally support men. So for those men listeners out there, please know that I am equally supportive. But in a time where we still don't have equal rights, etc., it is great to see women coming together. And before we get started, I always like to ask a fun question to my audience, to my guests, that my audience gets to know you a little bit better. So my question to you is, I love your name. Before we actually hit record, I was like, oh, I do like the spelling of this name, but I don't know actually how the hell I'm pronouncing this. And even though we've been friends, like I said, for a while. So it's Aoife. But it's spelled it messes with my head a lot. So I want to know, I love it, because that's like, I'm like, oh man, like it's unique. It's part of your unique point of difference. Like, right. It's like, oh, yes. So tell me, I love your name. Curious, where is your name from? What does it mean? And tell us a little bit more about it.
I'm Irish, obviously, and my name is a Gaelic name, and it actually means female warrior in Gaelic.
Wow. How interesting is that?
Yeah, she was an old traditional from a fable, actually. Yeah, and that's the evolution of the name. So, it's funny. I'm the youngest of 5, and all my siblings have very straightforward, normal names.
But interesting again, that you are in this space of educating, and we're going to get into this about messenger marketing shortly, and about just uplifting women, etc. So, what a perfect fit for who you are. It's quite powerful, really.
Oh yeah, thank you. When I was single in my early life, it was a very good dating line, because I used to be able to say I have every vowel bar you. But that's been made redundant now, unfortunately. But any other users out there, you're welcome. Use that on Bumble.
Oh my goodness, that is so funny. So now that we have the funness out of the way, I'd love for you to tell us a little bit about your background. Where have you started? What are you currently doing now?
Yep. So I started my career about, 15 years ago. I emigrated to Australia when I was about 24, and the usual stint was due to GFC, predominantly at the stage, the global financial crisis. Uh-huh. I was an auctioneer, would you believe, at that stage. So working in property probably wasn't going to fulfill me for the next So I emigrated, and I actually ended up in a clothes store, because as every backpacker would, I wasn't the fruit picking type of girl. So I went into a clothes store, and they were looking at getting in a new point of sale. So their e-commerce, their marketing, and ended up basically putting that whole strategy together. And then the evolution of social came, and that's where my career started. I progressed into the education system, which helped get the approved healthcare. Well, it was beauty care at the time. Mm-hmm. And I put together their command center for social media. And then I transitioned into the insurance sector, which was, I worked as the social media manager for Australia's largest general insurer, so very big brands. And then in the last 24 months, I had my daughter, and I went out on my own and created Yardley AI, which is an artificial intelligence agency driven by human connection. And basically that means is we develop and create strategies for chat marketing and help brands and businesses, have their voice in an automated one-to-one personalized conversation. But do not forget the human approach to it.
Right. And I do love that, the human approach, because as we'll talk about later, I'm all about that human connection. And that is one thing that, again, I've seen that you do well compared to so many other messaging marketing platforms I've seen, which we'll talk a little bit in a minute. So today's topic, though, the future of social media. Listen, social media can be the death of us some days collectively, but this is a fairly big topic, the future of social media. There's a lot of people talking about it, but for the purposes of this episode, I'd love for you just to define, what do you mean when we're saying the words future of social media?
For me personally, I think it's the future of social media is really brought back to the tools that we have in our pockets. So the evolution of our phones, our Androids, and the connectivity is, we've never been more connected ever in just human behavior. So the future of social media for me is really about that communication and enabling that your brand and your business's voice and your vision and your mission to be able to be elevated and reach people that you wouldn't necessarily been able to reach previously. And I think that's the power in general for the future of social media, is to be able to have those conversations and to be able to bring more human, personalized undercurrent to your brand. And I think that's predominantly going to happen through conversation. And that's where we're specializing in chat marketing and obviously chatbots, which is the automation element of it. But it's also about encouraging a brand to, be more comfortable and confident in, leading from the front with the people that are already creating the brand. And I think that's very important. So that's my take on the future.
On the future of social media. And do you think with that definition and just where we're going with the future of social media, what impact does this have on businesses, big and small?
Huge. I mean, really, look, from an environment state, everything is being disrupted, right currently. And that's really just down to the technology that is available. And for small to medium businesses right now, the entry barrier is basically been removed. Large enterprises, which I've worked through, have had multiple options with, automation platforms and, data analytics and being able to help support that customer journey. Now, small to medium businesses have the ability to, have third-party tools to have the same strategy, but also the value and the value of a small to medium business is they don't have to deal with the internal landscape of the political side of things that have to get things over the line. They have a small team, they're agile, they're nimble, and they can push things through. So right now it's massive amount of disruption, and small businesses and startups can really take on these big guys and get a share of that GDP and get a share of the value or the money in the marketplace. And that's where Yarnly is basically positioned itself to be able to help support, enable those small to medium businesses and make a real difference for them as well. It's real money, small franchises that have not been aware or I guess had the strategy previously now can actually be able to attain that with a very small barrier. It's affordable.
And like you said, for you, it's really, why is it important for you to be able to help support those small to medium businesses?
I think there's two moral compasses as well. I think, startups and people that are evolving a brand now, or a large legacy brand that is a small businesses, they do things with purpose. And I think, people buy into that and they buy into who they are and the change they're making in the world, not necessarily the product or the service that they're selling. And I think, I personally are more attracted to those brands rather than the large beast of a large enterprise that, they're trying to put down culture and elements within the businesses, but not looking after their people. Mm-hmm. And I think that's incredibly important. So it kind of comes back. It's ironic that we're a technology and an artificial and an automated chat company, but actually it's about the human behind that brand, which is the most important thing for us. And I think, certainly with, kids growing up with the internet now, I didn't, so I was pre-internet. Yep. They have, the ability to, to touch or get involved with communities that are like-minded, and as touching on our point was we never met, and likewise for children. So the consumer of the future and the people that are going to be purchasing and needing your service and products are going to be very different humans, and they're very aware of what they align with. And they do have a media resource in their back pocket, which is their iPhone. So, they do, I guess, not necessarily get influenced by community, but to do the right thing and be a good person, I think is encouraged by majority of good humans, So
100%.
That goes back to the brand.
Absolutely, because without the brand and without those human connections, a lot of times people won't make it through the first 5 years in business, right? So it is super important. Now, your main kind of, guruism, you could say, if that's even a word, is the messenger marketing, right? And that's where, again, some of this AI stuff comes into play. And so I just want to, so those of you that are out there that are going, this all kind of sounds great. I'm still a little bit probably mind blown, I don't really I'm still trying to follow along. How does this look for my business? Can you equally define, just like you did with the future of social media, can you define what messenger marketing is? Because a large percentage of my listeners are from Australia, and I feel that we're still a little bit behind the 8 ball when it comes to messenger marketing. So can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, absolutely. I suppose chatbots aren't anything new, or I suppose messenger marketing isn't anything new. And the reason why we're kind of hearing more and more about it is that, again, the barrier is lower now, for both you as a small to medium business, but also the target audience. So, people are using social media and Facebook and Instagram, and they're communicating with their friends and families on the apps. I think in 2020, it's estimated that messaging apps is going to surpass the growth of social media platforms in a whole. So strategically, people are actually having more and more conversations. Mm-hmm. And certainly with Messenger, there's 3 billion people on that. So, right now, for people to get involved in it, it's a fraction of the price, and to be able to reach that is incredibly important for businesses. The other really important thing about this is the attention right now on this particular channel, for instance, is wide open. There's not an awful lot of noise on there. There's about 300,000 chatbots when you look at it in equivalent to 6 million advertisers on social. Mm-hmm. So if you are having a chat marketing strategy, then you have less noise to compete with, and you're also getting increased in, I guess, open rates, if you kind of use that comparison to what we're familiar with email, Mm-hmm. Yep. Email marketing is, what's that, like 20% now on average?
On average, if you're lucky sometimes, I think.
Yeah, right, there we go. So chatbots can really bypass that inbox competition and provide open rates, like we're looking at 80% when done well. And, it's, again, the value of that as well. When someone has this conversation within a bot of Facebook Messenger, for example, we're also growing that subscription list. So when a user comes through to us from social, from Facebook or Instagram, for instance, and into a Messenger bot, then we are growing a subscription list. So again, comparable with an email list, it's very similar. You can reach that audience. So from a strategy and an ad, people that are dealing with Facebook ads a lot, you will get a lot more tailored, appropriately targeted audience that you can, your bang for your buck will go a lot further.
And with messenger marketing, you talk about Facebook and Instagram.
Yes.
Is it specifically more for the pages, or can people also be using messenger marketing in groups, or where does it begin and where does it end?
It's a great question, because right now we're still kind of waiting for the evolution of where, Zuckerberg is going to take this. So basically, they introduced about 8 months ago interoperability, which is their project to combine Instagram Direct, which is your DM, Facebook Messenger, and WhatsApp into one utility. So for instance, if I message you on Instagram Direct or a Messenger, that will go into one place and you can have that conversation. So the change is coming from a platform perspective, and they're just kind of herding the audience into this new environment. Messenger is going to really get bulked up with the kind of tools available, like multi-screening with groups, and being able to present through that type of application, which will be interesting. So obviously, the more people on it, more people will engage with it. So yeah, that's pretty much the value in using Messenger, because of the amount of people on it and the people that you can communicate with. So yeah, that's where the kind of the world is going. We're waiting for them to basically pull that out of the bag, and we're waiting for that for the last 6 months.
And then you're just like, dun, dun, dun. So yeah, I would suspect that
Yeah.
this will be released in 2020 at some particular stage, if they've already been talking about it for that, like the last 6 to 8 months mark. And like you said, it's going to be a lot of new opportunities for businesses to be able to jump in on.
Yeah, and I mean, the people that are already having their planned chat strategy outlined are the ones that are going to win, right? So it's back when Facebook ads got introduced. It's the same deal. If you're in it now, you're going to actually benefit from that market share and that audience, and being able to capture that. So yeah, that's the important thing with Australia. So I suppose when we're looking at the States, when they're about, I'd say realistically, they're about 12 months ahead of us from execution. And this chat marketing has only been around 3 years. So there's been a lot of learning within the industry itself, actually developing the skill set that actually can provide this service. That's number one. And people to learn what the value is. So when we're looking at the States, it's a really good indicator for our market here. So that's of benefit to small to medium businesses here. So you can take advantage of it now and really leverage that audience. When people are having that conversation about reach and engagement and it's down and they can't reach the people that they need to, this is actually this is the strategic solution. This is where you need to go now, and adhere to the rules and the policies that are around it, because that's where there is. And you can't just mass spam people, and you will get your page banned. So it's very imperative, and that's something I will stress, is to be able to know the perimeters you're playing in and to play it right.
And I think that would go with anything. If I see one more freaking Instagram giveaway where people are doing that shit wrong, like I'm going to gouge my eyes out, right? Or it's like my page, tag this person. I'm like, actually legitimately go and look at the rules. Yeah. And I'm just like, it has nothing to do with jealousy or anything like that. I actually have known people who have lost everything that they have had with their business. And I've heard of others, who thought that they were doing the right thing by having these giveaways, weren't following the rules, kept pushing and they lost everything, right? Yeah, so I can't emphasize whether or not it's messenger marketing, specifically around the bots, or whether or not it is giveaways, etc. Like, please, it is not worth losing everything you've worked so hard, because like Instagram they really don't care. Once that shit shut down, it's shut down. Like the likelihood of you getting it back is like -0. So every time you risk it, just do things right.
Yes, exactly. And I mean, on that, I mean, the thing is, when you need to understand what's available to you on these platforms for such things as what your outcome is, right? So you want to grow your list, you want to grow the people that you can engage with. They have given you tools to be able to do that. So entry points into bots and messenger marketing, it's just a swipe up in a story. You literally go straight into that ecosystem. You have that user's subscriber immediately. That's an entry to barrier that it's no friction. That's the value of this kind of ecosystem, and it's to promote a better experience rather than that kind of fragmented, here like this and do this and kind of, it's like clickbait, right?
Yes, totally. And people don't want that. Now, people out there might go, okay, this sounds great. You talk about being an early adapter and getting on the board, because obviously we're about 12 months behind execution from the US. But can you give the listeners an example of an e-commerce messenger marketing chatbot that you've done and it works really well? What does that look like?
And multiple e-com, actually, it really comes down to what you're trying to achieve. So as we can imagine, e-commerce has a lot of communication going back and forth from customers. So having a smart bot, which we basically can plug into Messenger and then plug into, with Open API, plug into your CRM. So we can give information to someone that has purchased your product to then get follow-up information. So, where tracking returns, for instance, any type of automated information, we can have that in Messenger itself as meeting the purchaser in a platform that they already use. So they don't have to send an email, they don't have to come onto your website, they don't have to download your app or whatever that looks like. So yeah, e-commerce has multiple different benefits to it. It just depends on what you want to achieve. When we're dealing with large e-com, especially in the retail space, it's usually to mitigate that influx of comms. So they want to reduce that front line, and basically, automate the predictable, so the brand can, have a exceptional human experience. So it frees up those human agents to do better things. and make a more memorable impression, which I love actually helping brands do that. And I think that's a misconception, even touching on, when people think of chatbots or automation and, oh, you're not willing to have a conversation with your consumer. It's perceived as kind of dirty and nasty, and you're like that comment bot situation,
right, yeah.
We're not that. Where the automation, it's really just automating the predictable. Who wants to tell them when their delivery is going to come?
Right.
Why can't we enable really cool human agents to actually surprise, delight, and actually get to know our customers, rather than just having nominal back and forth information?
Right.
So for e-com, that's one element, but also touching on the marketing again. How do we get eyeballs on your product? So when we have an e-commerce store that has paid media from social, for instance, they've bought into that, they're getting great results from it, especially for brands born and raised on Instagram as well, which I'll touch on in a moment. But off the back of ads, we can actually push through clicking into a messenger bot, which will lower your CPC, it will increase engagement, and you also grow your list with it and give a user experience that is in the app or in the messenger experience itself. So that's really valuable because, from a strategic approach, you're reducing the investment and making it go further, and creating a better experience because you're not clicking offside to a landing page or a different asset, which Zuckerberg does penalize you for.
Yes, he doesn't want you doing that. And for a service-based business, what would that look like when utilizing messenger marketing?
Service-based business is, again, it's about your brand and marketing message. So I like to describe my service business like a tour guide for your brand. So when someone wants to have a conversation or find out what service that you are providing, that they can just actually come to you, ask a question, and then they'll be served that information, rather than trying to sift through multiple layers or pages to find that information that they require. We've worked a lot with small bricks and mortar stores, which has been great to be able to take the pressure off that, kind of influx of again, kind of predictable questions, so that they can do work that matters and ensure that they're actually providing a better service when the customer is in-house.
Yeah.
Again, a very exciting thing for our service-based and bricks and mortar stores, which we've just started to go into, is iBeacon. So we've been able to apply a strategy, and an iBeacon is a signal that can actually get sent out to a mobile device. And with a bot, basically, if we have a subscription list to your bricks and mortar store, so your email list, for instance, your customer list, and they have downloaded a loyalty card on your phone, then when that potential client or that customer is in about 70 meters of your stores, we can send out a notification that will be attached to a bot and an experience. So that's
awesome. That's very cool.
Really cool. So moment marketing, it's basically taking them in the moment that they're in your area to be able to give them an exclusive offer and give them, whatever that, a discount, or just come in and have a chat, or this is what's available this week. So yeah, it's been pretty impressive. We're testing that at the moment, and that's what I'm really passionate about, because it'll actually help people that are struggling with digital platforms and that e-com world, and they do have a storefront. We can still get people in that online, offline, in an event.
No, that's fantastic. And I know when I was at Social Media Marketing World, a few of the examples that they gave, which was just like mind blowing to me, was there was a lipstick company. Now, again, for those of you that have followed me for a while, I do not own lipstick. I own one Tuma mascara. So I'm not the ideal client, but I did think the experience was really cool. Again, and I don't even know the name of the lipstick, but you could say like every month a new color comes out. And if you were part of the bot, you would get would you like to see the latest color release? Let's just say, and you would click yes. And then they could take an image of you, and somehow they were able to choose the color of the shade and put it on you. So then you could kind of get a guide to see whether or not that was what you wanted, if you wanted that or not. And then right from there, they were able to purchase, which I thought was really interesting. And the other guy, Andrew Warner, who I think kind of heads up a lot of the bot stuff over in the US. He was talking about, he was getting on an airplane and was looking at a bike from one of like the mountain bike stores, and he had clicked on it, but he hadn't done anything. And so when he shut his phone off to go onto the plane, he then landed, turned his phone back on, and there was a reminder from the bot going, "Did you forget something, Andrew?" And he was like, "What?" And then he clicked on it, and there was a reminder about the bike that he had just looked at, right? So it was really interesting to hear some of those kind of e-com product-based examples, because I was like, well, that's super interesting. And who wouldn't want to see, if you're into lipstick, what the newest shade potentially looks like, and being able to buy it right then and there versus having to go www dot and then, et cetera, et cetera. So yeah, so it's definitely interesting. And again, if you're an early adapter to this, you're going to be able to kind of shape and mold what the future looks like.
Yeah, that's right. It's in our hands right now. I mean, what we're missing probably in this space is that just the creative element of it, and the ideas. So anything can really be achieved. Because we're playing on a platform with attention. So you're getting the notification straight into your phone, like for instance, with that gentleman that got on a plane. That's really valuable. And then obviously when we're looking at Facebook as a whole identity, and that experience from a lipstick and a visual is their new Facebook Spark, which is Spark AR, basically, that their whole platform is really allowing us to now put that filter elements, take a picture, put on that product, put on that, mascara and all those cheeks. The technology is basically bolted out the gates, and now it's available for small businesses that you can elevate and use.
No, it's like, it is crazy. Now, this is one of the things when we had a nice little healthy debate. I'm all about the good old human to human connection. It is human to human marketing is one of my biggest passions about being in business, because I do think that, it's typically B2B, B2C, people come in, they do their thing, they kind of go, right? So human to human is important. And I still stand behind that the old will become the new again. But where you and I had our, healthy debate is you're about the AI, so artificial intelligence coming in. I'd love to know, how do you encompass the human to human marketing into messenger marketing to still keep it that really human element?
I think it just comes back to actually the humans behind creating the conversations, and that's really the tech and the AI is just, it's the same as, was it Andrew Bell who created the phone? Was it? I don't know.
I don't know. Good question. We'll have to look that one up.
I need a 10-year-old but it's the same thing. This is just tools. Right? It's the same as anything. It's like actually, same as email. Back in the day, I remember when I started in sending out emails, I was using everyone's, pasting in 20 emails into BCC so you can send them out in bulk.
Yes.
Right? But now, there's multiple different tech platforms that help support us and sending them out at scale. So we don't discredit that from a communication element. So when people are talking about bots, really the only difference is that it can actually be more tailored and personalized to that specific, conversation, which is phenomenal, because the back end data and how we've evolved in computers and technology has just enabled that. The whole purpose is still the same. It's about real conversations. And I think whereas there's a misconception, and probably at the maturity of this space, is that we haven't created or designed, or we're still in a very limited space to have, really good experiences, like human brand, human elements to our conversations. And I suppose that's our point of difference from Yarnley. We really want to break down brands' personality. And it's very important for them to, be a forefront of who they are and speak on that, use that dialogue within the bot experience itself, but enabling the user to know that it is automated, and then they can hand it over to an agent. But I don't think we're certainly not removing humans. And I think with AI coming up as well, the visual element of how we're going to engage with humans across the world. I mean, I can't wait to beam my family and watch TV with them, or have them in the living room with me because they're in Ireland and I'm in Australia, and that's happening.
Yes.
Just a matter of when that we can actually have, and it's down to the technology. It's down to Apple. It's down to Android, and I don't think we'll ever remove the human. It's more about what you stand for. And I think it's only using it as a voice to elevate that. And coming back to my point earlier, because kids are growing up with these devices now, they expect more from brands. They expect more from people selling services and products. They want to know who you are, what you stand for, and what good you're doing in the world. Because, our earth is in a little bit of a pickle. We've done really bad things to it in the last 20, 30 years to jeopardize its future. So, even now, I think it's more important than ever to be able to elevate that voice using the technology we have, but do not remove what you stand for as a human.
No, fantastic answer. I'll let it go. I'll let it go. I support it. I support it 100%. And I also think if you look at the elements of outsourcing, right, there's a time and place to outsource certain elements of it, and there's a time and place for those human elements, right? Like if having a messenger marketing strategy around bots to be able to then free up your time to do those other really juicy human things that might be being neglected in your business at the moment, well, then that is a positive too. So yeah, so I think there's definitely positive elements, and it comes down to like each individual business. That's why what works for one might not work for the other. But I know, and I have full confidence that you would then work with each of those individual businesses to, again, align with what they need and tailor that specifically for their business.
Yeah, 100%, and it's kind of coming back to automating the predictable. Someone can tell you what time they're open at in their storefront, 9 to 5. But if we can eliminate that time suck and actually give that frontline human to actually ask them, how their daughter's birthday was at the weekend, isn't that a better experience? So
right.
Isn't that more of a human one?
Yeah, so, exactly right.
Yeah.
So and do you think so businesses that are out there like going, oh, I probably need to get a little bit on board with this, or et cetera. What can businesses start doing now to prepare for the future of social media collectively, but also with messenger bots?
Collectively, obviously pay to play is here. So, your paid strategy on social is incredibly important. And your organic is too. I think probably coming back to organically is about actually creating the community around your brand. Which is more important. I think you have to look more, even personally from my own experience with Yarnley over the last year, I think we were talking before this, and it's incredibly important to reach out and make those real life connections, and at a very granular level for any business. And I think then grow that using strategy off the back of that. So yeah, that's kind of like the approach that we would take. I'm missing my train of thought now.
No. So we were just talking in regards to what can businesses start doing now for the future of social media.
So what they can do is obviously cultivate that community, actually take time out to get to know your customer and, make that information to be able to help mold that product and service. And then the other is coming back to their paid strategy is looking at the options to best elevate that strategy. Zuckerberg has launched messenger bots, use them within those strategy. It literally bolts lead form ads out of the gate, but it's all about the strategic approach. Make sure you have the right skill set there. In the humans that are executing it.
Yes.
So that's number 2, what you can do now. So if you've already invested in that, let's get your money to go a little bit further by bringing in a bot. And then the next is really be just aware of the communication style from brands to customers. We need to meet our customers where they're already having conversations. And that is individually in Instagram DM, it's in Facebook Messenger, and you need to come out and be reactive or proactive to have those conversations with the customer. And chatbots and bots can help scale that. Kind of coming back to email marketing, it's the same element. It can scale your presence. And another element, I don't think people realize already that if you are active on social, you already have a chat strategy, whether you know it or not. You're going out having conversations, under the content that you're I hope you're having conversations under the content that you're publishing, but also you're having conversations in the DMs. So there is a chat strategy there, and that's the foundation of what you can bring and put on automation at scale further down the road when you go into this area.
Yep, and as many people who have heard me say this over and over and over again, conversations equal conversions. When you have the ability to have conversations, you opened up doors for trust, credibility, authority, and so much more. And when that is there, the conversions will happen. If you lead with value and you lead by treating them like human beings and you're kind and you're just a good human, profitability will follow. And so conversations equal conversions. Now, my last question, is I know you are very big into AI, artificial intelligence, and I'm curious to know, what are you most looking forward to in the future of technology?
Oh God, I think bridging the gap of connection, really, to be honest. I'd probably come in touching back. I know from distance, it's very hard to be able to communicate with my family and friends back home. So I think the enablement of tech is going to help even just more of a connection. Probably for me, which has been a slow burn, or well, probably something that's been identified and I haven't thought about, which is a slow burn, is Apple AirPods. So actually the ability to use that within, similar to Siri, right? And similar to Google Home. And actually asking that voice assist element is going to become increasingly more more popular just in how we behave. And that's something that we're really interested and going to explore for 2020 is that voice element. So probably now for brands and businesses, again, if you have SEO and you're in that, start going in and getting that voice word. So, it's like anything. When Google started, people were paying probably a cent to the dollar for that keyword, right? And it's right now we're at that starting base with voice. So you can go in and start actually having you won't see results at this point, but you're going to be increasing, your foundation on that platform for later activity. And that's going to be increasing. Yeah,
100%. I mean, we're changing every single day. Now, for those individuals who are out there like going, 2020, I probably need to, collectively look at my marketing strategy. Not a lot of people take it seriously. But for those of them that are out there that are going, not only do I need to do that, but I probably need to be thinking about, messenger marketing and how I incorporate this into the overall business strategy too. Where can people find you to learn a little bit more about what you do and how you can help them?
Yeah, of course. We're very active on Instagram, so Yarnley AI. Myself, you can connect with me on LinkedIn. It's Aoife, AOIFE, Marie O'Connell, and of course our website, which is yarnley.ai. And by all means, I love connecting. I love meeting new people, and just DM me.
Fantastic. Now, my final question is what do you know now that you wish you knew when you first started out in business?
The phrase gets coined, just start. And that's all well and good. I think actually, even if before you start connecting and growing your community and finding out potential people you can partner with. Yep. And waking them up, right? I came from corporate, so I never really had to kind of leverage an external network, but I had a really great internal network. Now, the realization that doesn't go with you, it didn't do me much. So if I had my time again, is certainly if you're, thinking going into business, is ensure that your network is healthy, go out, make time, have coffees and provide value, ask them how you can help them before they can help you.
Yes, I couldn't agree more. I mean, the saying I say is like relationships are like a bank account. You can't take out if you don't put in, right? And you can't just do it from a cheesy like, oh, well, I had coffee with you. Now I'm going to ask you. No, it's like you still have to do it with a genuine heart and willingness to add value first. But, there's many times I don't ask many favors of the people that I have relationships with. But when I do, people know that it's like, and just serious, like this really is really important to her because I don't take advantage of that. But it's like I give, add value to both paying and unpaying clients. And the return has been always amazing, right? Because I'm leading with heart and leading with value.
Yeah. And I think once you're coming from that place, we're probably very similar in a business model. You can't do business wrong.
Exactly right. Yep, exactly. And it's like, there's just this vibrance. There's people know what you stand for. It's, you either like it or you don't. And that's also, I think, the beauty about being able to stand in for what you do believe in and what those core values are, because you're going to repel those who want to be there for the ride and those that don't. And it is a beautiful thing, really, to see how that happens and, eventuates.
Yeah. And you track the right people, and that's the most important thing. You probably you get rid of the ones that you don't need. So
totally. Now, listen. And so before we sign off today, I just want to say thank you so much, Aoife, for being here. And for the rest of you, I just want to remind you that my team and I will also be putting together the whole transcription for this episode at angelahenderson.com.au. And as I mentioned earlier, if you enjoyed this episode, I would love for you to share it, especially on Instagram stories and tagging me at Angela Henderson Consulting. Also, Aoife, they can tag you do you want to give them your @ symbol?
It's yarnley.ai. Yeah.
Yep. So you can take the both of us because, again, we love this shit, right? We love seeing, you people sharing it. So you can share a thought, a comment, or, take a screenshot, do whatever. It does make our day. I'd also like, if you do love the podcast, please remember to subscribe to the podcast. And if you have 2 minutes, I would equally love for you to leave a review, because it not only is going to help you, but it equally helps other women in business owners to be able to get the tools and resources they need to grow sustainable and profitable businesses. Again, thanks so much today for being on the show, Aoife. For the rest of you, have a fabulous day no matter where you are in the world, and I look forward to you joining me next week for another amazing episode of the Business and Life Conversations podcast. Have an awesome day, everyone. Thanks for listening to the Business and Life Conversations podcast with Angela Henderson. www.angelahenderson.com.au